All right, good morning. We are going to get started. I am Nicole Mageski, Secretary of the Delaware Department of Transportation, and it's my honor to welcome you all here today for this exciting RAISE grant announcement. We do have a few people that I just want to recognize and thank for being here. First and foremost, the Rose Hill Community Center. Thank you so much for being our host today. Our Executive Director, Sheila Burkle, in the back there. Thank you. Thank you very much. I do want to recognize we have representatives from the Federal Highway Administration, Doug Atkin and Ryan O'Donnell. Thank you so much, Donahue, for being here. Thank you. Will Mapgo, our Executive Director, Tigist Agay, is back there. Thank you, Tigist. From Newcastle County, thank you so much, Councilman Penrose Hollins. I see hiding in the back there behind and Councilman Smiley. Thank you so much for all of your support. The DelDOT folks that are here, we have Matt Vincent, our project director for North District, Kathy Smith from DTC. Panoni was our consultant that helped put together this application and the process here. And then, of course, our members of the General Assembly for all of their support. Thank you so much. We have Senator Darius Brown and Representative Cook and former Representative J.J. Johnson. Thank you so much for being here. So, as I said, we have a great announcement to make today. As a Department of Transportation, we have a responsibility to ensure that our transportation network and the services that we are providing are safe, reliable, accessible, and equitable to everyone, regardless of where they live or what mode of transportation that they are providing. Our job is to connect people, to improve their quality of life and help create communities. Community-centered transportation is how we do this, and the Route 9 area is a perfect place to implement this strategy. The $6 million RAISE grant that we have received as part of the bipartisan infrastructure law will jumpstart what we are calling Route 9 Redefined. That will ultimately help us invest more than $90 million in this corridor to improve safety and access to all modes of transportation. 27% of the households that live in this area do not have a car and rely on public transit. So we are also very fortunate and grateful to have received an FTA grant in addition to the RAISE grant of $630,000 that's going to help us improve the safety along the Route 9 corridor, to improve the walkability, the bikeability to and from our transit stops, to improve this mode of transportation for everyone. As part of the RAISE grant, we are going to be doing extensive community outreach. So all of you, this takes a village for us to get to this point. So all of our partners, we're going to be meeting with the residents, we're going to be meeting with our transit riders, the civic leaders, the county and state officials to get your input to help us prioritize the projects that we need to move forward and make sure that we're meeting everyone's needs to improve safety and mobility along this area. So this doesn't happen, as I mentioned, without all of our partners here, and there's so many that are here today that you're going to get to hear from. But it really does start at the top with our state leaders, with our governor and our lieutenant governor. So it is my privilege to ask Governor Carney to come on up. It is really their commitment to the investment in our infrastructure and all multimodal aspects of our facilities that keep us going. So thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. Ooh, that's a live mic. Wake everybody up. This is really, really exciting, and my job is really pretty simple, which is to thank many of the people that were just recognized and thank, starting with our congressional delegation. We don't have these resources without your tremendous work and the work of the Biden administration as well. Yesterday, I taped a little video for a White House conference on infrastructure, which is happening with the nation's governor on Thursday. I'm not able to make it because we have very important education meetings with school boards on Thursday night like we did last night. And by the way, we got a unanimous vote from the Christina School District to move forward with our Wilmington Learning Collaborative, and we're really excited about that. You know, I've been doing this work now for over 30 years, and this place, the Rose Hill Community Center, has been just integral in all the work done in the corridor. And so all the folks, the elected officials, Penrose Hollins has probably been doing it longer than that. Where's Penrose? He's there behind. George Smiley, of course, more recently, and of course, J.J. Johnson and I worked with Jay Street on so many issues out here. J.J., thanks for being here and your long work in the corridor, and of course, Frank Cook and Darius, the work today. I also want to point out our point man. I noticed that Senator Brown was talking to Greg Patterson as he came in the morning. Darius Brown knows where the money's coming from. And Greg, to our delegation, Greg is in charge of looking after the federal funds that come in all the various ways. And again, we appreciate all of that. As I think about the challenges for these communities here along Route 9, among the remedies, I think one of the most important is good jobs for the people here and the ability to get those jobs. And it turns out, there's an ad in the paper this morning. I don't usually hold up the News Journal front page paper, but I'm going to hold it up today. And it says, Amazon begins Delaware hiring. In addition to the 7,500 employees that they already have here in our state, increasingly one of our largest employer, they're hiring 2,000 employees, part-time and full-time, for the holiday season. And you say, okay, well, how good are these jobs? Well, they all start entry-level jobs at $16 an hour. We've been working hard for a $15 minimum wage. These start at $16, and they have sign-on bonuses up between $1,000 and $3,000. And they're not very far from this neighborhood right here. And we know, JJ, that this neighborhood for years used to have jobs from the Chrysler plant where you worked, as well as the GM plant, which is now the location there of Amazon right up the road. So as we think about transportation, somebody mentioned that 25% of the people here don't have cars. So if there are all these jobs and we don't have a way to get people to those jobs, then it's just a dream, right? Well, we should, and I think this project will help make those dreams come true for those individuals, their families, for our communities, because when we have good jobs to support families and to help children be raised up, then we're going to have success. So I want to thank again the delegation, President Biden, all the people who've been working on this area for so long, and then Madam Secretary, your team. Just an incredible team. This is an incredible and challenging opportunity to move these federal funds out to get real projects done in our state. They're already happening. If you look at the corridor in Wilmington, it's about to break open, and it's going to be fantastic. If you look at 141 right there at Basin Road and Commerce Drive, fantastic. Lots of great things happening. Thank all of you for making it happen. Next up, our Lieutenant Governor, who's doing incredible work through Rose Hill during COVID-19, working with the community to keep people safe and get people vaccinated and tested. Lieutenant Governor Holon.
Thank you, Governor Carney. And I just whispered to the Secretary, I love meeting with you these days. When I was a member of the House and the Senate, my colleagues from the General Assembly will tell you a lot of times when we had meetings with the Cabinet Secretary of DelDOT, wasn't always exciting news. This is great news. This is an incredible day. And to our Secretary, thank you for always having these invitations where we're really showing accomplishments and intergovernmental partnership. To our incredible congressional delegation, our Representative Lisa Blunt Rochester, Senator Coons, Senator Carper, as our governor indicated and our secretary, thank you. This is an incredible project. It's a necessary project. Not to repeat what the governor stated, I will highlight, though, the economy is important, the economic side. And as I look to our councilmen, Penrose, and to Smiley and JJ and to Rep. Cook and Senator Brown, they will tell you that they have lived through the need to have not only an economy that works, but the health behind it. And I think often, as Senator Darius Brown's nodding his head, to the days on the bond committee, where a lot of times I would speak about Margaret Thatcher's comment, and it applies today. The comment is so incredibly relevant that we travel by train, we travel by car, we travel by bus, but the economist travels on infrastructure. And we always talked about that on the bond committee, and that's coming to light here as our governor mentioned, the economic impact. The final thing I'll say, to be brief, is that this is truly a major implication to improve health in our state. major time of economic equity and an important step forward. I don't know where the executive director, she snuck out from Rose Hill Community Center. Oh, there you are. I applaud you. We have spent many days in the community raising, and thank you for hosting us, raising the health in our neighborhoods. It really does matter. When I've gone around the hotels and different places on the Route 9 corridor, experiencing pollution, experiencing the runoff, experiencing the difficulty to access service, this is a game changer. And thank you to our leadership, our governor, our congressional delegates, and most importantly to the local communities. And Mr. Jarman, when you speak, I can't wait to hear your comments, because it all starts at and through community. This is through community, this is for your community, and I'm honored to be part of a little piece of moving your progress forward. So with that, do you want to introduce the senator? Okay. He was giving me a few tips on what to say, but I will turn this over to you to introduce our senior senator, Secretary Mageski.
Thank you so much. We cannot say it enough. A huge thank you to our entire congressional delegation and for everything that you all do to support us. We are a delegation of 3, but we always say we are the hardest working and the fight for our state more than anyone else. So it is my pleasure to ask Senator Carper to come up here. The chair of the EPW committee. The EPW committee was instrumental in the crafting of the bipartisan infrastructure law that made all of this possible. So, Senator Carper.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, Governor, Lieutenant Governor, colleagues, Chris, Leo, elected officials, mere mortals that are here with us in this, in this gym. I walked in, John, I said, who brought the basketball? Go play some hoops. And this guy's played a whole lot, and some of the rest of us have played a little bit too. But it's great to be in a gym. It's great to be along the Route 9 corridor. And I want to say congratulations to the folks at DelDOT, to the Secretary, everybody and part of your team. DelDOT has competed for a grant, a planning grant, and my guess is just about every state competed for it. Not everybody won it, and I'm happy to announce that the state of Delaware has succeeded through their efforts and the support of Senator Coons, Congresswoman Blunt Rochester, and obtaining a federal transportation funding grant, a planning grant to help support the projects that are planned for Route 9 corridor. Why is it a planning grant? It's a planning grant to help improve the quality of life for people who live here. It's a planning grant to help better ensure that people can grow up here in safety. It's a planning grant that's designed to make sure that people can get where they need to go when they need to go. It's a planning grant that's especially designed to try to foster economic growth and opportunity. I had the privilege of chairing, as the Secretary said, the Committee on Environment and Public Works. We work very closely with the appropriators, and we work very closely with the House on that. Biggest infrastructure investment in the history of the country since the interstate highway system. And we want to make sure that Delaware gets its fair share. And a good way to make sure that we do that is to develop great proposals. We did, and we've gotten the money for the planning grant. And now the idea is to ask our customers what they would like for us to do with the money that will flow after that, for roads, highways, bridges, for transit, and other infrastructure. I used to, when I got right out of the Navy a long time ago, I moved to Delaware to get an MBA, and I forget one of the courses I took in marketing. And our instructor told us that what we should always remember to do in businesses is to talk to our customers and say to our customers, what do you want? What do you need? I still do that. I still do customer calls. We still do customer calls as a delegation, governor and all, and ask businesses, what do you want? What do you need? This planning grant, this $6 million planning grant, will enable DelDOT to ask folks who live, tens of thousands of people really, who live along the Route 9 corridor, what do you need? What are your wants? What are your priorities with respect to safety, with respect to transit, with respect to walkability? What do you need? And at the end of the day, when all that information has been procured, we'll use that money to guide further investments to actually make those dreams come true. I'm just delighted to be a part of this process. One of the great things about Delaware is we like each other. We work together, state, local, federal. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the library that's been built not too far from where we're gathered here today. And what a great investment that is in the community. Last thing is, my wife, Martha, and I got married in Newcastle Presbyterian Church 36 years ago, but who's counting? She says it seems longer, but we got married there, and later we bought a house in Wilmington, and but we used to drive to church every Sunday, and we'd come right down on Route 9 on our way to Newcastle, and it was sometimes discouraging. It was sad, and the idea that we could actually do something about it in a very substantial way and lift the lives and the aspirations and the hopes of so many people. It's a real joy and a blessing for all of us who've been involved. I'll close with these words. Teamwork makes the dream work. And this is a great example of what we can accomplish when we work together as a team, and what we can accomplish even more on behalf of the people who live along this corridor. Speaking of teams, I'm blessed to be the wingman for these two people, to Chris Coons and Lisa Blunt Rochester. A joy in my life is, I like to ask people, what brings you joy in your life? And most people say helping other people. Well, and that's certainly true for me, but it's also a joy in my life to be able to work with these two folks in order to help other people, and the folks especially in this community. Chris Coons, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Carper. For many, many years, Joe Biden would say, show me your budget and I'll show you your values. Show me your budget and I'll show you your values. President Biden and Secretary Buttigieg have shown us our values. And I could not be more excited, Madam Secretary. You know better than anybody, from our time in the county, from your time leading the Department of Transportation, just how hard it is to deliver on that vision you laid out about making sure that transportation is safe, is accessible, is reliable, is sustainable, is affordable. And when the Route 9 corridor first got laid out, JJ, after the Second World War, Dunleith was planned for returning service members. It was too much, too close together and built out too quickly. You've got industrial right next to commercial, right next to residential, and we have a once-in-a-lifetime chance to fix some of the things that have made this a hard place to live, that have made the roads at times unsafe, that have made public transportation difficult to access. And what a joy, what a blessing. Penrose, George, Lee, we were talking, Lee, I think it was literally 22 years ago, I met you at an event here. He liked Annie a lot more than he liked me, but when all of us were working in county government and dealing with the issues that this community has suffered through for far too long, environmental justice issues about pollution and closeness to industrial facilities, congestion and difficulty with road access, safety in terms of seniors and children being able to cross these roads, we are showing our community our values. The chairman of the relevant committee, EPW, when we laid out this infrastructure bill, there was specific funding, and the name of this grant program includes equity. That's the E of RAISE. This is, Tigist, right? Looking back at areas where planning, frankly, failed the needs of the community, and looking forward and investing. $6 million federal dollars, $1.2 million state, all that money to do real planning for several years in consultation with the community and produce a new vision for how people will move up and down this corridor, how they will connect with the rest of the community, as our governor said, how they will take advantage of the incredible opportunities in our new economy. All I can say is thank you to Cookie, to Darius, to the state representative, state senator, to the governor, to the lieutenant governor, and to Madam Secretary. We in the congressional delegation, we just produce the money. We just get the money. We get the money in the framework. You make the difference. And so from one little appropriator to one team that is delivering just remarkable, remarkable results, thank you for letting us be a part of the team that is trying to show not just the people of Delaware, but the people of the United States, what our priorities are, where we invest first, where we think we can make a difference. Sheila, Rose Hill has for decades been an oasis, been a place of safety and support, a resource to this whole broader community. I can't think of a better place for us today to announce this next generation investment in a vision for what the future of the Route 9 corridor will look like. And I can't imagine a better partner in this work than my dear friend and colleague on the committee that moves everything in our nation, Congresswoman Lisa Blunt Rochester.
Good morning. Well, everything has already been said, but as I sat in my seat, first of all, I do want to give a moment of gratitude to our Secretary, to the Department of Transportation, our Governor and our Lieutenant Governor for your leadership. It was said that we just give the money, but truly, our legislators, Penrose, many of you go back many years really trying to make sure that people's voices are heard. That's what's different. We do a lot of projects. Department of Transportation probably cuts more ribbons on turnabouts and electric buses, but this moment is special as we are here in Rose Hill Community Center, Sheila, with your daughter, another generation, a law school student. This moment is really, really special because I remember back, Mr. Jarman, to the efforts of your family, Miss May Jarman, you. I think about families that I've known, like the Dillards and my nephew Miles, his grandmother, raised in this community. I think about the families and their voices, and that in this moment, this is about being heard and seen so that you can be safe, so that you can get a good job, so that you can breathe clean air. That's what this moment is about. And so I am just humbled and honored. As the senator said, this stands for rebuilding our infrastructure with sustainability and equity. 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 That's what this is about. And so I'm proud of the Biden administration, as you said, for living the values that we have talked about, that this country has the foundation of. Now we're living it. And so $6 million planning grant, proud to be part of this team, proud to have been with Senator Carper on the passage and Senator Coons on the passage of the bipartisan infrastructure bill. Because as the president said, that's a big deal. I mean, it's a big, big deal. Yeah. And so and Pastor Bullock just walked in, and it's funny because I was thinking that this is about jobs, this is about health, but it's also about our places of worship. And I thought about Community Presbyterian. I didn't know you were married there, but I also was just this weekend at Canaan. And so the message this weekend was to, in the midst of all of this, when people ask how you're doing, just say I'm blessed. Today, we are truly blessed to be moving us into the future and using the voices of the community to do that hard work. It is, I don't know if you want me to do the introduction, but it is my honor to introduce to you someone who has been tireless in his efforts to make sure that community voices were heard and that the resources got to the places that they needed to be, and that we never, ever, ever give up. It reminds me of like John Lewis, you don't give up, you don't give in. And that's you, Mr. Jarman. We thank you so much for all of your efforts to make sure that this day is possible, but also so many other things that have happened in this community. We thank you, we appreciate you, we love you, and I now turn the mic over to our, I'm going to say, one of the champions in the community, Mr. Jarman. Come on up. Mr. Lee Jarman, come on up.
Boy, good morning to everyone. First, I want to say thank you to all of the elected officials and to the clergy. And I might add that one of the elected officials I've known, I believe, almost ever since I've been in Delaware. And that person knows who he is, and it's no other than Councilman Penrose Hollins, who I really appreciate, as I do the other elected officials who are here. In the evenings, I normally watch CNN, and some of the stuff that's there is bewildering. And I always say to my friends and my relatives to make sure they stay focused. And I tell the elected officials that I talk to stay focused. Don't worry about the rhetoric, because we will overcome. Each morning that I wake up, I always ask God to allow me to think straight and see clear. So far, I've been blessed. This morning, I was just busy, and I don't know what I was doing, but I was just busy. But I didn't know until I walked in the door that someone was going to tell me there was a seat up front for me, because I didn't expect that. But that's great. A couple of the things that I want to mention up front is that I've got a grandson. I've got two grandsons. One is Stephen Shaw. And I heard someone talk about Amazon and about the jobs. And Stephen graduated from Hampton University in 2021 and was recruited by Amazon. And he's in Riverside. So now I listen a lot to my grandsons about what I need to do, what I need to be doing. They're giving me instructions now. And Stephen reminded me of the Peninsula Compost, the place not too far from here that was polluting our environment. And he spoke at the hearing. And I think everyone knows that we were able to close that place down. And at this point, I want to thank my dear friend Sheila Burkle for allowing us the space to conduct all of those meetings. One of the other things I'm really proud of, and I think about it a lot, and one of our senators, when he was the governor of the state of Delaware, he had something called the 21st Century Fund. And someone told me that Lee said, you go to that meeting today. It was uptown. And I went to the meeting. And I think the comments that I made made them decide to give that money to the communities. And we were funded about 3 different times, and I think each time was over about $7 million. And we used those funds in Dunleith, Overview Gardens, Garfield Park, and Belvedere to revitalize the communities, the housing, and and the roofing and all that other kind of stuff that we did back then. And that was a great program. And when I heard about the RAISE grant, I was excited, and I've been telling people throughout the community that you need to pay attention, you need to get involved, you need to come out and let your voices be heard, because there's things that are happening along the Route 9 corridor. And my state rep is aware of that, and I always tell Senator Darius to stay focused, and the Senator Crones, who I consider to be a close friend of mine. Like you said, I did know his wife before I knew him. But he's a good person, too. He's really a good person. He's a good person, too. But talking about infrastructure, the roadways and communications, and sometimes I hear people in their homes, the pipes break because the pipes are just old, and most of them are lead. So something has to be done about that. So I ask them to stay focused and don't give up. And so because the change is going to come, and we see it coming now. trickle by trickle. We're going to get there. And I'm just confident in all of our elected officials, including the president, that we're going to do the work that needs to be done to make sure that we are protected and that we continue to live a good and wholesome life. So when I talk to my grandson Stephen tonight, I'll be able to tell him that I'm doing what he told me to do, because and he says it in a quiet way. He's kind of like me. He don't talk loud and he don't get upset easily, but he stays focused in terms of telling me what needs to be done. And I will say the last thing that he said to me on last Thursday night was, make sure that we begin to involve the young people in our decision-making process. And all of you probably know some of my connections with the Colonial School District, and I'm extremely concerned about the lead that is in the water systems. And some of you know that I served in the capacity there on the Financial Oversight Committee, and each month we reported to the community and the board whether or not they should approve the budget. So we looked at everything that was in that budget to make sure they were on track. But again, we want to make sure that we involve our young people in all the decision-making that takes place. That's extremely important. I'm talking about young people down here because they have a voice too. And if you don't believe it, you listen to what they will say, because they know stuff that we may not think they know. And they listen to our conversations on a regular basis. They know what we're saying. And if we're talking negative, you know how that goes. So we want to stay away from that. But again, I'm just so excited. So I don't know what I'm going to do the rest of the day now, because I didn't expect this, but it's a good thing that that I came and then I was on time and I was dressed. Well, I'm always dressed appropriate. I'm always dressed appropriate. And so I just want to thank everyone and say thank God for a new day, and there's a vision and we can see it coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Jarman. It's only in Delaware do you get to have a lot of these full circle moments, and it was said by a number of the speakers today, but the fact that 20 years ago we were here at Rose Hill at the county working on the comp plan with Mr. Jarman, with the council members, and now fast forward, our roles may have changed a little bit, but the commitment to this area remains the same. So we're excited to get started. We're excited to get to work. We're excited to get to the community to hear what their needs are so we can get these projects going. So thank you all so much for being here with us today. Again, to the delegation, thank you.